But I think the main things is at the end of the day, volleyball is volleyball. It's in the same 9x9 court, and the rules are the same. So we. Is that on the back of your shirt?
Yeah, it's on the back of the shirt.
A little free shout out for you. And it doesn't matter who's on the other side of the net. You need to still execute to the best of your ability if you want a chance to win.
That's right, Brett Walsh. Welcome back, boys and girls, to the 9x9, the 81 square meters of the best volleyball coverage on the internet. It is episode 102. It is December 27th, 2023. It is the last show of the year.
Crazy.
Late Merry Christmas to you all. Early Happy New Year to you all. My name's Rob St. Clair, live from Chicago. That is Everett Delorme, live from Toronto. Last show of the year, Everett. It's a big one. We've got a lot to wrap up. It is officially the midway point of the club season. And as is tradition, the Italian Superlega packs a whole lot of games onto Boxing Day. And yesterday we were just inundated with volleyball games. And it was, honestly, it was a banger of a day. There were a bunch of great games and a bunch of big upsets, and we're going to talk about them.
There was a lot of turkey hangovers, clearly. Or I don't even know, I guess.
Literal and figurative hangovers for the two of us on this show.
Oh, yes, absolutely. I think both of us are hurting a little bit at this point. But there was it was a very interesting day yesterday. I mean, look at some of these results. It all started off with Verona taking down Lube, Milano continuing the upsets against Perugia, and then Cisterna getting a big win over Monza, and then Taranto getting on their board with their first official win of the season, despite, still not being in last place. But it was a crazy day. There was just so much going on. We have to start with Lube versus Verona.
For sure.
That was the first one.
A reverse sweep. Lube had this in the bag, dude.
I know. I went back and watched this one because I was flying back from Arizona yesterday. So I was like watching things as I could. I had to go back and watch this one, and it looked like Lube was so comfortable in 2 sets, But Verona does have this ability to kind of just change games, and they have done that multiple times this year. But it's only been in the past couple games where they've been able to pull it out in 5.
Right. They have Verona. I mean, we've talked about them a lot this season for mostly bad reasons. But the reason why we talk trash about Stoichev so much and how disappointing Verona usually is because of how good we know they can be. Because of the number of X factors that they have. Yeah.
100%.
So that they made 2 big changes. One was bringing in Namori Keita, and the other was bringing in Francesco Sani, who was unbelievable, like practically automatic off the bench, 10 for 14 attacking for Sani, which is so sick. And they pull off a reverse sweep of one of the best teams in the league. Like this is the Verona that we like. This is the Verona that we know is in there somewhere.
At what point do you make that? Because that's been the changes for like the past couple of matches, right? Where you're starting Amin and you're going that other route, and then you're going back to Namori Keita and Francesco Sani. Like, first and foremost, we've talked about it before. Francesco Sani has to be one of the biggest revelations in not only in the Superlega, but just all in volleyball, considering where he was at UCI playing on the right side, and then he's coming into the Superlega having a immediate impact on the left side. Like, what is going on with that?
That's crazy.
Namori Keita coming in and dominating is not nearly as much as a surprise. That dude like holds so many records in Korea, and like he's so dynamic. We saw it last year, and it's exciting to see him come back. But I was really surprised at how Verona was able to dig deep and come out with this one. They were down by like 2 or 3 in the 5th.
Yeah, they were. They were down. Let's see. Oh man, the stat sheet doesn't have the splits. That's too bad. They were down by 2, maybe 3, maybe even 4 in the 5th, and they pulled it back and figured it out. Lube definitely fell asleep at the wheel, obviously, but it was not Addis Lagumja's best game. And we're going to get to in a minute our like mid-season awards for the Superlega now that we've reached the midway point. And Lagumja has had a fantastic year, like we'll talk about. But how many times have we seen it, Everett? Lagumja has a phenomenal start to the year, and then starts to dip towards the middle of the year and isn't usually able to rescue it towards the end of the year. Like
I feel like he dispelled that last year a little bit.
He did. Yeah,
I really felt that he finished strong last year. So I'm expecting that to happen. I'm not too perturbed. It was just over and all, this was a really bad passing game
Very bad.
for Alex Nikolov. And it's funny because I thought he's been passing way better this year, but he really cracked under the pressure. Only 9% perfect. He got aced 4 times, and they're really going after him. Like 33 attempts over the course of this match. Like he is fielding a big part of the like more than a third of the serve receives.
13 aces to only 20 errors for Verona is incredible. Like that's one of the best ratios we've seen in any game all year. Definitely Verona's best serving game of the season. Donovan Javoronic was really good. He had 5 aces by himself. That's incredible. And it seemed like, somebody in the chat is saying, okay, you got to give Stoichev credit when he deserves it. Making those 2 moves for Keita and Sani were excellent choices, and it seemed like Verona had a better plan from the service line. They were obviously serving with a lot of heat because they have the arms to do that. But yeah, putting a lot of balls on Nikolov, able to really crack Lube towards the latter half of that match, and it worked. Reverse sweeps are fun, and not the only one that we saw this week as well.
No, it's not. But what's even crazier is that Verona was able to do this with like a terrible Rock Mosic game.
Yeah,
right?
very bad.
Was 3 for 11 with 2 errors and got blocked 3 times. Negative efficiency out there. He got pulled after the second in place of Francesco Sani. So that's a big thing, man. Just think of what could happen, is because I still find that Verona just doesn't take care of the details. And that was really what kind of got them behind in the early goings of that 5th set. And, I thought it wasn't a great game by Pacheco either. He's not been the greatest. Like he hasn't been the best version of himself. And I don't think he's been the best setter in the league so far this year. And this was another indication of that.
I agree with that. He was amazing at the beginning of the year, and then it happens to Pacheco sometimes. We've seen this where he gets a little bit sleepy and a little bit lazy in the middle of a long club season.
Fatigued, right?
Yeah.
Like this was a year where, it's not like past years where he hasn't played VNL. He played VNL. He played the South American Championships and then the Olympic qualifiers. Like it was a long summer for a lot of these guys, and he was playing so many games. So I think it's just catching up to him. He has to be tired.
Fair enough. Big win for Verona. They there wasn't a whole lot of drama as far as Copa Italia qualification. We'll talk about that in a minute, but that's part of how the league works. At the midway point of the year, the top 8 teams get spots in the Copa Italia. That was kind of always going to be Verona's spot in 8th. There wasn't that much drama with that, but maybe they can use this towards the rest of the season to. Because you're gonna want to be a lot higher than 8th heading into the playoffs. You do not want to play Trentino or Perugia in the first round. And
hey, I honestly, like after this weekend, after yesterday, Rob, anything is possible. Like this is, in my memory, this has to be the closest it's been 1 through 8, right? Like right now in this point in time, Verona in 8th, I could see them beating Perugia. And on an outside chance, I could see them beating like Trent. Like if Trentino has a bad day and Verona has a good day, that could be a toss. That could be a toss up.
I do not see Verona beating Trentino.
Oh, come on.
No way. Especially not in a 5-match series. No way.
Oh, I'm talking. Hey, I'm talking about one day where Trentino has an off day and Verona has a pretty good day.
Well, we may very well see that in the Coppa Italia. But I just said you don't want to play Perugia in the first round. Don't tell that to Milano. They certainly do. They would love nothing more than to play Perugia in the first round again. And another chapter in that saga, continuing from last year's playoffs, another reverse sweep. Perugia went up 2-0. It looked easy. Then one of the craziest service runs I have ever seen in my life from Matej Kaziski to go up 13-1 in the 3rd set to make Perugia pull the starters. But I even said it in the Discord. I'm like, okay, Perugia's going to pull the starters. They're going to come back in the 4th set. They're going to win easily and get 3 points. Wrong. I was completely wrong. And Perugia had chances in that 4th set, but Milano with a very improbable, very impressive reverse sweep. And Matej Kaziski was the guy. 25 points with 6 aces at age 39.
That's just absolute insanity.
It's nuts.
that is absolutely bonkers, and especially against a team like Perugia. He's not out here doing it against Taranto or Catania or one of these, like these whatever Mickey Mouse teams. Like he's doing it against what should be on paper the best team in the world. Now, I think to me, this is just showing, like, do I still think Perugia has the ability to win? Absolutely. But this team is not as rock solid and as bulletproof as I thought they were. And it's really what's showing me that there's so much parity. But man, if there's one team that feels so confident in being maybe overlooked right now, it's probably Milano. After that tough start to the season, no Paolo Porro, like, Milano's kind of has been rolling of late, and this is just another one. Like, they were really, really good in this game. Obviously, Matej Kaczynski was unreal. But even Ishikawa, like 10 for 17, only, like, he was just so steady for them as well. Like,
Yep, coming back from injury, that helped a lot. Milano having Ishikawa back, but yeah, the crazy part about this Perugia game is that it reminds me of last year, where on a much smaller scale, much smaller time scale. But last year, remember, Perugia undefeated. They were cruising along. They weren't really challenged. But then once that challenge happened in last year's Copa Italia against Piacenza, then they did not respond well to that adversity. This was kind of a similar thing in the span of one match, because I really thought that when Kaczynski went on that ridiculous run in the third, where he ripped off 6 aces in one run, including 5 on Kamil Semeniuk, who's
really rattled them,
which is crazy. I didn't think that would rattle Perugia. I thought that they would, pull the starters for the third, put them back in the fourth, and be back to normal. But that's not what happened.
No,
they did not respond well from that emotionally, and that was a little bit worrisome for me.
Yeah, I mean, I do think it's twofold, though. I think Milano just built so much from that, and we all know about how momentum driven this game can be, and how, sometimes you're just riding that wave and it just feels fantastic. And this is a team that when they can ride that wave, when Matej Kaczynski is dropping 25 points at age 39, like, you can do that. Like, this is still a world-class team, right? They have guys who can really just punch at the highest levels. And I just don't think that Perugia is that bulletproof anymore, especially with no Leon out there. But even then, with Leon, I don't know if that would have 100% made a difference. Like, we've seen it not really made a difference in the past so many times recently.
I have a question. Why is Jesus Herrera starting at opposite for Perugia lately? So I was looking at the midseason stats. Wasim Bentara is hitting a full 100 points better in efficiency on the year, like 374 to 277 than Herrera. Wow. Like that's a massive difference on a good enough sample size. I don't really understand why Bentara isn't the guy.
Yeah, I mean, even Bentara's coming in off the bench going 5 for 9.
Right, and playing well.
He does get blocked twice. I'm not entirely sure, Rob, and I'll admit I wasn't in favor of bringing Bentara in over Richlicki, and I think the numbers that Richlicki has been putting up this year for Trentino kind of back that up for me. However, I do like the way that Bentara has looked when he's been in. I've really enjoyed it. So I don't understand why, especially in a game like this. Like, you're bringing him off the bench. Why not change it up a little bit, right? Like, why not go with him? I mean, Herrera was the best attacker for Perugia and added 5 blocks, which is not generally in Herrera's game, right?
Did make 7 errors though and missed 8 serves. Like, he has not served the ball well this year at all. His numbers are terrible. His ace to error ratio is one of the worst in the league, and I just don't. I don't really get why Bentara isn't the starter day in and day out, but I guess
even being given, like, if you have a guy like Bentara on the bench, why isn't Herrera's leash a little bit smaller, right? Because
totally agree. So good for Milano. This is a massive win. Yeah, they're kind of back to the team that we thought that they might be after a rough start without their starting setter, and now they can beat really anybody on any given day. I don't know. We'll talk about their Copa Italia draw in a second, but yeah, Milano is for real. This is a really fun game.
Yeah, It really was. And honestly, it just makes me more excited. The fact that we've got like legitimate teams 1 through 8 and is just going to be make it the rest of the year so much more interesting. Going to make Copa Italia so much more interesting, like into the playoffs. It's so exciting. Honestly, we've been in for such a treat this year in so many leagues around the world with so much parity, and it's been a lot of fun.
A lot of parity. Yeah, it's very cool. Couple dongings to talk about quickly. Trentino over Padova is not surprising at all, although it was 34-32 in the second set. That was a very interesting overtime. You talked about Kamil Rykliski, who, I mean, he has had an outstanding year, but he choked big time in several moments in that second set, even though Trentino won it. Just wanted to throw that out there. But Piacenza beating Modena was quite convincing as well.
I will say it seemed like yesterday was a bad day for a lot of guys who have been having great seasons, right? Like kind of across the board. I think honestly, there was a lot of tortellini going down on the 25th. Probably some soup. That's what I've noticed when I was scrolling through Instagram on Christmas is that the Italians, it's all about pasta on Christmas. It's
It's all about pasta every day of their lives. Those are my people. I love it so much.
Yeah. And absolutely, we should. It would be so much fun, Rob, to go to the Boxing Day game sometime.
That would be very fun. Hey, to our Italian listeners, I will be in your country in June. So just
why are you going to Italy?
My wife's friend is marrying a guy from Napoli, a guy from Naples in Naples. So we're going to be in southern Italy in June. We're going to make a trip out of it. So I doubt there will be a lot of volleyball going on at that point because it'll be VNL time. So there won't be anything happening in Italy, but. Italian people, just put that in the back of your head. We'll talk about it later. Somebody in the chat wants us to talk about Cisterna versus Monza. Obviously, we're going to do that. Massive win for Cisterna. This was not a good game for Monza by any means. Aced 11 times. 11 aces, only 13 errors for Cisterna is outstanding. 4 for Parity, 5 for Jordi Ramon, which is incredible, plus 11 for 21 attacking. Teo 24 for 46, super high efficiency for 24 points for the first year kid. Like perfect storm for Cisterna, great match. Just about everything went wrong that could have on the Monza side at home.
But even when I look at some of these stats, like I did not watch this game. Once again, I was flying back from Arizona, and there's only so many games I could catch up on. But just looking at these stats, like Monza outpassed Cisterna so bad. Like, Cisterna passed like absolutely terrible, and yet they were just chucking high balls to the outside for Fall to just mash on. Not a great game from our boy Stephen Marr. Unfortunately, it looks like Arthur Schwartz was all right.
Yep.
Did you check this one out? What was the difference maker in this one?
It was so the reception numbers I don't think really do it justice. I think that it was Cisterna's service pressure. It was all the aces, like just a crazy number of aces. And like somebody in the chat just said, Ron Takahashi's reception was uncharacteristically bad.
Yeah.
So that was definitely a big part of it. Cisterna was just feeling themselves from the service line, and that was kind of it, really. A lot of high balls, a lot of out of system stuff from Monza, and there just wasn't really that much that they could do. I give Cisterna all the credit, to be honest.
Fair enough. I like that. I mean, Cisterna, they're always knocking on that door. They're always good for a few every year. And I mean, Monza's been having a pretty good season. I feel like they were due for one of these, especially in the league that we've been having this year.
There have been a couple eggs laid by Monza this year. I mean, the game against Milano a few weeks ago, and they got 3-dogged, and it wasn't
another
close.
One. Absolutely,
that was bad. And when that happens, I look at serving. Monza's serving is usually not good. Sometimes they have horrific ace to error ratios, and this is one, a 2-15, very bad.
Not a good day. It looks like Schwartz had a nice day offensively, not so great behind the baseline with 5 errors on only 11 attempts. Not the best.
Arthur. So I put together a lot of numbers for the mid-season, and Arthur Schwartz, attack efficiency on the year, very good. Blocking on the year, very good. Serving, not good at all. He really has not had a good season serving the ball.
He's just one of those guys, like he's just got to go for it, right? Yeah. Like he's not a skill guy, so he's not going to carve you up. I doubt he could hit a float serve with any efficiency. He's a guy that just needs to go to mash away.
For
And then
sure.
like we need to see that efficiency make it a little bit better, but he's gonna bring along a boatload of errors.
5 aces, 31 service errors on the year for sure.
Ooh, okay,
Yeah,
that is not very good.
Yeah,
That's
it's bad.
under 20%.
Yep, not good. So everything else pretty good, but yeah, not that. So bad. Great serving for Cisterna, really bad serving for Monza was kind of my assessment of it.
Yeah, fair enough. All right. Any other of these matches here that we want to talk about, Rob?
Piacenza Modena really quick. I watched some of this one, which probably the first 2 sets, and Piacenza really had it pretty convincingly in hand. Modena on the wings just wasn't quite good enough. Sapochkov 3 for 9. Davi Skiba off the bench on both wings hit 0% efficiency. Rinaldi was not great. Juantorena actually was very good. He hasn't played every game this year, but his efficiency numbers on the year actually are pretty amazing, especially for a guy that age. But this was a very good Piacenza game. Francesco Recine continues to have a very good year. Robert Landy Simone had a lot of impact, went 7 for 7 on offense. Love to see that. It was a pretty good it was not a good Yuri Romano game. My apologies. 5 for 16 attacking with 5 errors, but 5 aces. So you had the good Romano serving. And yeah, just Modena didn't really have anything going offensively. But I do kind of want to talk about Taranto getting their first win, because I had that on for a little bit as well.
Real quick though, Rob, I will say, I think of all the teams in the top 8, I'm the least impressed by Modena. Like,
yeah, you've been very low on Modena this year. I'm not quite that low, but I just don't think their ceiling is that high. I don't think it's that good of a team.
I don't think so either, and that's the big reason why I'm so low on them. Like, I just don't see them. Like, I think that because of the squad that you have, they're slightly going to overperform on their overall skill level, because you have guys who know how to win and guys who have been there, and like guys like Juantorena and Bruno are always going to be able to steal you games. Sapochkov is going to be able to steal you some games just by like pure scoring, but he's also going to lay some complete eggs like in a game like this one. And you've got, of course, some pretty decent guys down the middle, but overall their ceiling is so low, and I like Verona more than them.
Ooh, I don't know if I like Verona more than them, but Verona's ceiling is definitely higher than Modena's.
Verona's not clientele, but personnel on the court, I absolutely love. The only issue is on the sidelines.
Okay, last but not least, congratulations, Taranto. Finally, they got a W, and they got it for 3 points. I mean, this is a must-win game against their fellow bottom feeder Catania. Actually, not bad volleyball. Like, I watched some of this game. It was pretty competitive. I mean, I still continue to be decently impressed by Catania. That is not a bad team.
No, not at all.
Whoever does get relegated is not going to be like a waste of space team like in some of years past. Like,
no, absolutely
obviously Ravana that one year comes to mind, but there's decent ball being played here. But yeah, Taranto finally gets a win. Filippo Lanza actually was decent this game. Jose Gutierrez was extremely good, and Kyle Russell was pretty good. One of his better games on the year, so that was good to see.
Gutierrez has quietly been putting together a pretty solid season. I feel like there's been some ups and downs, but overall he's been pretty decent.
Yeah, he's had, I mean, just like all of Taranto, he's had some bad games, and he's been bad in fifth sets, as the entire team has. But I like Gutierrez. I mean, we've seen him for Cuba coming off the bench, and he's just super dynamic, fast, like crazy quick twitch off the floor, like super fast arm. I do like his game, and he was good yesterday, 14 for 22 with only 2 errors. That's excellent. Yeah, good to see Kyle Russell be good. Jeff Jendrick blocked the ball well, but that was about it. I'm still a little bit surprised that Taranto hasn't done anything about their setter position. Angel Trinidad is not having a good year. He's definitely a big part of the problem on that team, but good enough yesterday to get the first win of the year.
He's one of those guys that I feel like continues to get opportunities despite not really showing up. Like, another one of those is that year in Warszawa when he was playing with what's his face, Anastasi. And they laid the egg there that year as well.
I think Petkovic was the opposite on that team as well.
Oh yeah, I do. I think you're right as well.
Tough roster.
Was it? Or was he at Scraw? It doesn't matter.
It might have been. Catania, I mean, looking at the numbers, Paul Buchegger obviously put up the numbers on moderate efficiency and got very little help. That was my take. I'm not the most educated on all of Catania's games at all, but
I'm not surprised.
Yeah.
I've only watched them a little bit as well, but yeah, Buchegger has been putting up some big numbers. I think he's like second in the league so far this year behind Théophile.
He actually leads.
He leads the league
in points per set. Leads the league in points per set, but on not the best efficiency, which is super typical for an opposite on a lowly ranked team.
Absolutely, just shovel the ball to the opposite.
Exactly.
He's just going to swing away.
Exactly.
That's what we want to see the big boys do out there.
So the standings halfway through the year, Trentino at the top, 10-1. Perugia, a couple losses lately, including the one to Milano. Verona is the 8th ranked team. They get the last seed in the Copa Italia. Padova, Cisterna, Taranto, and then a good bit of separation now over Catania in relegation position. Here are the matchups for the Copa Italia: Trentino versus Verona, Monza versus Lube, Piacenza versus Milano, and Perugia versus Modena. Those games are actually very soon. I think they're like next week. Next,
3rd and 4th of January.
Yeah, next Wednesday and Thursday. And so this is a single elimination tournament. That first round, those games are hosted by the higher seeded team. But then as you see, like the 27th and the 28th of January, like the semis and the finals, that's like neutral site, big domestic production, like big deal inside Italian borders is the Coppa Italia semis. But the quarters have delivered upsets basically every single year. We've had Milano seems to beat Lube in the first round every year. This year, we'll see if they can do it against Piacenza. Verona versus Trentino is a little bit interesting. Monza versus Lube is very interesting. Milano versus Piacenza is very interesting. I actually love these matchups.
Yeah, I really do too. I think Verona will just go in and kind of go balls to the walls against Trentino. And I absolutely love that. Monza's actually really had Lube's number for a while now, both this season and last season. So I think that's a really good. I think they've actually won their past 3 against Lube, if I'm not mistaken. So I think that's going to be a fantastic matchup. Piacenza versus Milano might be the spiciest of them all.
I love that game
because it's those two teams that are like they're really in there to try to jump into that next level. I think that's going to be a lot of fun. And then Perugia Modena is going to be whatever.
Yeah, that's the one that I'm least excited about.
Yeah.
I just matchup wise, play style, I don't really see a world where Modena beats Perugia. Even though Modena stole that game from Trentino like 2 weeks ago, I don't see them beating Perugia.
No, I don't think so. I think it's like, isn't there a thing between Modena and Trento? Like I saw our Modena fans going pretty nuts in the Discord after that one. That's where like the whole Vaffanculo Trento started. I apologize to all our Italian fans. But I think it just meant something. Like once again, like Modena has that ability to turn it on, but I think Trento's going to want to really like. Once again, we've talked about it before. Coppa Italia or any like cup play for the individual leagues means so much to these teams because it's played on like a national level, and there's plenty of sports people within Italy who don't care about volleyball but will somewhat be aware of what's happening, like for the semifinals and the finals, be aware of Coppa Italia.
Totally, yeah, and you nailed it. The Plus Liga is the same way. The German Cup is a different format, but that's a big deal. Like, yeah, the domestic cups get a lot of attention inside their own borders. These quarterfinals are next week. The 3 good ones: Monza, Lube, Piacenza, Milano, Trentino, Verona, are all next Wednesday, January 3rd. They're all basically at the same time as well, which sucks. And then Perugia, Modena is next Thursday.
With a cup like this too, you have 2 days. Why not do like an early game and a late game and an early game and a late game? It's just like it's incomprehensible how stupid it is. Like Oh, it honestly, it makes my brain hurt. Maybe that's the hangover, but it's also just the idiocy of these trench coats and boomers, and I just can't
Yeah,
handle
dude.
it anymore, Rob St. Clair.
Do a
Like,
5 p.m. and an 8
oh,
p.m. and then the next day a 5 p.m. and an 8 p.m. If you want these games to be, I know that they're not. It's not like the neutral site big production that it is for the semis. But if you want these games to have national attention, let everybody watch all of them. I just don't understand why that line of thinking just doesn't make sense to people in Italy.
no. Well, it's not necessarily the people in Italy. Let's not blame the entire country off the idiocy of the
people,
owners,
the
right?
people over the age of 75 who are making all the decisions.
100%. It's the billionaires who own it. They don't give a they don't care about. It's funny how I'll swear in Italian but won't do it in English. Thanks, YouTube. But it's right. It's the owners who don't care about, like, they must not be getting enough of a TV deal, right? I'd be so interested to know what the TV deal is between like Volleyball World TV and the Superlega, and how that's trickled down into the owners. Like, where does that breakdown happen? Because it like their number one priority is the box office, which is like 1980s shit. Right, like this is like literally like brings us back to like let's do deals based off of like, like first league soccer. It's so embarrassing.
Yeah, very, very frustrating. But without further ado, Everett, I think it's time to unveil the Volleyball Source Superlega mid-season awards. Are you ready? You're ready to jump into this thing?
Yeah, I'm ready. I'm stoked. Let's get into it. Rob and I were originally going to do each of our own teams, but then we started filling it out and saw that we had literally the exact same answers for everything. So we're like, well, we're just going to come to a consensus, the clear consensus on basically all of these. Where are we starting with this? Are we going to start? Do we want to go straight with the MVP?
No, let's do our first team, like our first team all stars, and then do the superlatives. So
100%.
our first team all stars, just like Everett said, we were going to make our own teams, and they ended up being exactly the same. And a lot of these are pretty much no-brainers.
Yeah.
So I'll read them down. We can talk about them. First team setter for the first half of the Superlega season is Riccardo Spertoli of Trentino. The starting setter on the best team. Outside hitter, Alessandro Micheletto of Trentino. The other outside hitter is Camille Semeniuk of Perugia. The opposite is Adas Lagumja of Lube. The middles are Robert Landy Simone of Piacenza and Agustin Loser of Milano. And our libero pick, we went with Gabriele Lorenzano of Trentino. So, I mean, setter and libero, it's difficult to quantify them statistically.
Yeah, definitely for libero, because there's no numbers out there at all for any of the libero stats. Like it's so hard with passing, and then you can't even group the liberos together. Like, it's so difficult. Honestly, we really just need to build our own stats database, Rob. Like, if people in our community want to help us do this, I'm getting so frustrated. Like, I just want everything in one place.
Same.
Right? I just want everything in one place, and I want to be able to build scripts so that we can just like defer our own information from the little that they give us. But I digress. If you want to help us build a stats database and app, let us know, because I'm so sick and tired of this shit. No dig stats. How?
Yeah.
Whatever.
Stats,
but I do think that Spertoli, like, I think we've seen both Gianelli and DeCecco struggle. Honestly, I was looking at it between Spertoli and Porro, because of the impact that Paolo Porro has been having on his team since he's joined the team. Cachopa, I think Cachopa's had a good year, but it's a little been a little bit up and down. Like when Monza has been bad, Cachopa's been bad, type of thing, right? But Spertoli's been so solid. We've talked about it time and time again. Like, Spertoli, if you want to play for a national team, come play for Team Canada. Like, please. Like, we'll at least put you on the court, because you're fantastic, and he's a hands down top 10 sitter in the world.
He's really good, dude. He's really good. I mean, kind of how I looked at it for the setter and the libero. Like, Trentino leads the league in attack efficiency as a team.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
that's a huge credit to Riccardo Spertoli. Gabriele Lorenzano at libero actually does lead the league in perfect pass percentage. And Trentino is the best team, so like we gave it to him kind of on that. That's more difficult to quantify that one, but Spertoli for me was a no-brainer. He is so consistent. He is the absolute perfect setter for that team, and is a big part of their identity and how they've been so good so consistently. And he won a Scudetto last year, so that was a no-brainer for me. Similarly, a no-brainer was Micheletto. Dude, this guy's numbers are
Ridiculous.
absolutely bananas. He leads all outside hitters in points per set, in attack efficiency, in blocks per set, and he's second in the league in aces per set amongst outside hitters. And like the numbers, 4.55 points per set for a left side is insane. 0.5 aces per set is very good. 0.48 blocks per set for a wing is very good. He's hitting 460 efficiency on the season.
That's gross.
460.
And just by the eye test too, like you watch Trentino play, and Micheletto has just been so damn good.
It's crazy how good he's been. 460.
That's
through 11 matches. That's nuts.
I like it's crazy to
like
remember how young Micheletto is, because he's been so prominent so far. Like basically, like the post-pandemic era has been the Micheletto era. Like, let's be honest, and like how much Italy has won, how good this team has done, even though they've only won that one championship. What, they went to 2 straight Champions League finals.
Yep.
They went to 3 straight, not 3 straight. Never mind. No, they didn't. They just went to the one Superlega final. But still, this team has been
so
solid, and he's been the unicorn has been on full blast this year, and it's been awesome to watch it.
Yeah, he's just so good. Similarly good. We've talked about it a good bit this year, but we do want to continue to give credit to Kamil Semeniuk for returning
He's back, baby.
Close, just about as close as he was to his last year in Zaxa form. Obviously, wasn't good last year. He's been pretty vocal about his disagreements with Andrea Anastasi, but Semeniuk's having a phenomenal year. His passing numbers are off the charts. His attacking numbers are extremely good. 376 efficiency on the year and 0.47 aces per set. So up there with the league's best in serving and attacking amongst left sides. Like I'm ranking. I have this big table that I can rank all the stat categories by column, and honestly, it's Micheletto's numbers are making everyone else in the league look bad. Like Semeniuk hitting 376 with like 3.5 points per set and 0.47 aces per set. Like those are amazing outside hitter numbers, and he's just being put to shame by how good Micheletto has been. But still, I think Semeniuk has been the second best outside hitter in the league this year.
Yeah,
so far.
He absolutely has been like his confidence is way back. Last year, it seemed like he was trembling in his boots whenever he got on the court. This year, it's been a completely different Semeniuk, and it's been awesome to see. Polish fans, I know they're stoked about it. Like, why not add another world-class outside to your arsenal? And honestly, like, I think that if Perugia is going to be successful this year, I really think that Semeniuk is going to be one of a massive piece to all that, and it's going to continue to be so.
Definitely agree.
Middles, I mean, this is a no-brainer, Rob. These two guys are like, it's not even close after these two guys when you look at the statistical breakdown of all the middles in the league.
It's Robert Lenny Simone and Agustin Loser are far and away the best middles in this league, and maybe in volleyball.
I'm going to go out and say it in volleyball. Like Huber has been having a great year, absolutely no doubt about it. In Poland, like Kokonowski, I don't think he's as effective with Restovia as he was with Zaxa. Like I'm not entirely sure why. Other than that, like,
yeah, I mean, Flavio actually is putting up some good numbers this year. So Simone leads all middles in points per set. Flavio is second, and Loser is third. Yeah. But Loser is so far above everybody else in volleyball in blocks per set. It's actually ridiculous. Yeah. 0.81 blocks per set is an otherworldly number. It's amazing. Yeah. And predictably, Robert Landy Simone is by far the best server amongst any middle. 0.4 aces per set. Nobody else in middle blockers is even close to that. And yeah, Loser hitting 566 efficiency on the year. That's incredible. Simone a little bit lower, but this was it was never even a contest for the two best middles in the Superlega.
No, absolutely not. Like, as soon as you start looking at the stats, like, and that's exactly who I would have thought of before. Right, like no one in the middle side, like Chen Nieze has been hot and cold. Like, it still hasn't really clicked with him and Lube fully. But yeah, these guys have been dominating, and yeah, there's no one else.
Yeah, the last one I want to talk about is the opposite, because this, I think, was the most the most difficult one to pick, and you could have made a lot of cases for a number of guys. We ended up both going with Addis Lagumja. My opinion, my reasoning why, because he is not the most efficient attacking opposite in the league. That actually belongs to Kamil Rykliski, believe it or not, who's hitting 404 on the year. Arthur Schwartz is at 395, which is very good. Bentara 374. Like, let's see, where's Lagumja? So Lagumja's down there. He's hitting 315 on the year, which is good. It's not the best opposite in the league good, but he is by far the most impactful server and blocker, and the combination of the two amongst opposites. He leads all players in the league, all non-middles in blocking, 0.52 blocks per set. I think that is a big deal, and really impactful from the service line as well. 0.36 aces per set is up there. And so that's why I personally went with him, even though his attacking numbers aren't the best in the league.
Yeah, I mean, his attacking numbers aren't the best in the league, but he's up there in points, and he's been really running that boat there for Lube.
Yeah, fourth in the league in points per set. And I think a lot of that comes from the blocking and the serving.
Okay.
So we're gonna unveil our superlatives here in a minute. But another thing we're gonna do is we're gonna do like a spur of the moment draft of kind of our second teams, not including these 7 players, and then we can't have the same players. So we're gonna highlight some more guys in just a second. But we got some awards to give out. The MVP of the first half of the season is Alessandro Micheletto, and it's not close. It's not close, and it's not debatable.
No, I don't care who you think has been that good, but it's Micheletto or no one else. Let's on to the next. I think Ricine has been massive for Piacenza this year. Like off the bench, starting matches, he's been really, really good for them.
Ricine gets our most improved award because last club season he was just not very good. And Piacenza kind of needed him to be good last year with foreigner limit things, and he just wasn't. And this year they need him in a similar role with, Romano being hurt for a while, Leal being hurt or bad or out or all of the above or whatever. And I mean, Ricine is hitting above 400 efficiency on the year. He's hitting 425 on the season. That's second in the league amongst wings. That's incredible. He's only behind Micheletto. That's spectacular for a little guy like that. Is amazing. So he gets our most improved award, and then we added like the most surprising category, and I went with Davide Gardini for this because I did not expect him to be good at all. And he's hitting 331 on the year, which is very good, 3.48 points per set on a pretty bad team. And we kind of thought that he might be like feeling the footsteps of Luca Porro on the bench behind him. And he's actually been the most consistent outside hitter on Padava's team, keeping his spot on the court and has passed the ball okay. So I thought that was a very pleasant surprise. Who else were you thinking about for this category?
Honestly, so like when I was doing this was the category that made me decide to message you to be like, hey, let's just do one thing. Because as I was doing my numbers, and I know we've kind of banked on Gardini for a while, but he was just a guy that kind of like popped up for me. Another guy, he was more of a newcomer. My other guy was Farrah Riegers for another newcomer. And then Francesco Sani as well. I thought those guys, all 3 of those guys have been fantastic. With Theo Falk, what he's done this year, the numbers that he's been putting up, one of the best scorers in the league. And for a team that's doing all right, I mean that last win yesterday was crazy, and the numbers that he put up was nuts. So it had to go to him.
For sure, yeah. Teo 4.78 points per set, second in the league, and as the guy, like the scorer on a pretty low level team in your first year in the Superlega.
Yeah,
that's the difference, because Cisterna will typically have an opposite that they rely upon like that. I mean, that's how Petar Zierlich became so highly regarded, and even Arthur Schwartz for a little bit kind of got his start at opposite playing for that team in a similar role. But to have it be your first year in the league and to put up numbers like that is really, really impressive. 320 efficiency as well.
Yeah, very much so.
We've got a couple more midseason awards, some just more lighthearted ones. The Stooge of the Year. Congratulations to Radostin Stoichev of Verona. Verona is the worst statistical passing team in the league. They get blocked more than anyone in the league, and they have the 5th worst kill percentage in the league. The only teams that are worse than them are the 4 teams below them in the standings that have vastly inferior weapons. So sure enough, Stoichev's stupid strategy of not caring about reception is a bad one, because his offense is not good. They get blocked way too much. They are the worst passing team in the league, and he is the stooge of the year. Congratulations.
Just the fact that he's like gone out and on the record and saying that like passing doesn't matter. It may not matter in like day-to-day matches, but over the course of the season in a playoff series, when you're looking to win, like passing wins championships.
100%.
You know, that's first touch wins championships. Serving, passing wins championships.
Which is kind of why Trentino is so scary now, because that was their
100%.
only weakness for a while, and now all of a sudden they're like 10 percentage points better in reception than they were last year. Don't tell me that doesn't matter, Stoichev.
Yeah, exactly. Like, oh, it's just crazy. And like his game management can sometimes be good, sometimes pretty good, sometimes pretty shit. So we'll have to see. But he's just, until someone else dethrones him, and the fact that Piazza's a homie now, like it just has to go to Stoichev.
Yeah, I agree. Best jerseys, I really like Milano's white. That was my pick. I mean, we had Kaziski on the thumbnail today, and they're pretty beautiful. I like the white. I like the cool like light blue pattern around the jersey number. That was my pick. But honestly, in my opinion, kind of a down year for Superlega jerseys.
Is kind of a down year for Superlega jerseys. Last year, Sienna's jerseys were so nice. Catania's jerseys are kind of interesting, aren't they?
They're interesting. Really don't like Taranto, how they have like the jersey number on the back, kind of on the back left hip of the player instead of on the center.
Yeah,
that doesn't make sense. Modena did have some pretty cool Christmas jerseys yesterday. I did like those. Honorable.
I didn't see them. I did see pictures of these Korean Christmas jerseys that were dope though, with a Christmas tree on them.
Ooh.
Yeah.
And then last but not least, maybe the most important award, the Daddy of the Year. Daddy of the Year award. Congratulations to Dragan Stankovic, who, once he retires, the Daddy of the Year award will be named after him. But he is undefeated in that category. Shout outs to Daddy.
At some point, we need to start giving it to other people, though.
When Daddy retires, which will be one of the saddest days of my life, when that
I almost think the Daddy of the Year award should be like the player who embodies the most daddy spirit.
Yeah, like when Daddy retires and it becomes the Dragan Stankovic Daddy of the Year award, it will go to the player who most embodies the spirit of Daddy. But while Daddy is still playing, it's like trying to find excuses to give the MVP to somebody other than Wayne Gretzky when you should just give it to Wayne Gretzky. Like that.
Okay, let's find an excuse. Who do you give it to otherwise?
That isn't Daddy Stankovic?
Yes.
It's like that.
I have a perfect person in my head.
Let's hear it.
Taylor Averill. Even though he's not an actual daddy, he loves talking about daddies. But like when you're talking about handsome middle blocker men, like Averill is very much handsome, just in a different way. And I like that mustache, the hair, the attitude. Like I think it's a no-brainer.
I like it. I like it. Congratulations, Taylor. You are daddy in waiting once original daddy retires. All right, so let's rip a little impromptu draft here, Everett. The rules are as usual. So these 7 players on the screen are not eligible. We're going to pick 7 players like of the same breakdown of position that you see here, and we are going to take turns, and we can't draft the same players.
Okay. Also, we should base off of this season and how the players are playing this season.
For sure.
Right, as opposed to general view when you're judging our teams. Do you want to do a quick little rock paper scissors here to decide who goes first?
Let's do it.
Wait, I gotta make sure. Okay. Oh wait.
How
do we tie this? Okay.
On shoot, you call it.
Okay. Rock, paper, scissors. Okay, this
do it again.
Tough. Rock, paper, scissors. Fuck. Okay.
One more.
Rock, paper, scissors.
Gotcha.
All right, you go first.
Paper beats rock. I'm gonna take as in the outside hitter category. I'm taking Ron Takahashi.
Yeah, that's good. He has been fantastic. He was real bad last game, but Ron Takahashi is a good one.
I'm looking at some numbers. Ran on the season as hitting 398 3.97 points per set, 0.38 aces per set. Like, yeah, so he's sixth amongst wings in hitting efficiency this year.
My opposite, I'm going with Kamil Rychlicki.
I was thinking about taking him too, and I'm Everett and I are very much on different sides of the Rychlicki debate, but he's one of only 5 players in the league hitting above 400.
Yep, the 452 there for 429 for Rychlicki this year.
It's pretty good.
Love to see it. All right, who do you got next?
I'll go. Let's see. I guess I can save my opposite for later. I'm going at setter, and I'm going to take Paulo Porro.
Shit, that's who I wanted too. Damn it!
You brought it up earlier, I think the real thing is how bad Milano was without him, and how much better they've been since he came back.
All right, fair enough. On the outside, give me Rock Mosic. Yeah,
346 efficiency on the year, 4.3 points per set. There are not very many players with above 4 points per set.
No,
and the Rock is one of them. Let's see. I'm gonna go in the middle category, and I'm gonna take Flavio.
Okay.
Flavio's the only guy kind of up there in the same echelon as Simone and Loser. Actually, it's those 3 guys. Those are the only 3 middles with over 100 points this year.
Yeah.
So I'll take Flavio.
They've been very, very dominant so far this year. Okay, who do I want next as we go down the list here? Serving. I'm using the stats app that Beandog uses for all his stats. Have you tried it yet?
No, I haven't.
Untangled. I'll send it to you. It's actually pretty good. Ooh. Do I want to do that? Actually, you know what? I'm gonna do it. Give me Stephen Meyer on the outside.
I'm writing down our picks. I picked Porro, Ran, and Flavio. You picked Rychlicki, Mar, and who's your other pick?
The Rock.
Mosic.
Yeah,
that's right. Okay. Let's see. I'm gonna take. I think I'm gonna take another middle.
There's not going to be any middles left.
Yeah. Okay. I'm going to take another middle. This is an interesting one. You know whose numbers are surprisingly really good? Giovanni Sanguinetti of Modena.
Okay.
582 efficiency. His blocks per set numbers are pretty low, but there aren't very many middles over 2 points per set, and he is. And his serving numbers are very good. So he's not doing enough in the blocking category, but I think he might have the highest attack efficiency in the league. Yeah, he does. No, 582. Nobody other than Diamantini, who's
Diamantini,
much less games.
Yeah,
but Sanguinetti is I'll say of like regular day in day out starters, he leads the league in hitting efficiency. So I'll pick him as my other middle.
Okay. I'm going to pick as my setter. I'm going to pick Gianelli. Even though he hasn't
go wrong.
You can't go wrong. Even though he hasn't been having a super fantastic year, I think that they've still been all right. And Perugia actually leads the league in attack in kill percentage.
In kill percentage, but Trentino leads in efficiency.
In efficiency, yes, exactly. So I still think Gianelli's been having a pretty decent team, and he's still Gianelli. So I'm gonna throw him up there.
My other outside hitter, I'm going with Riccardo Lucarelli from Piacenza. He's had a super good year, 3.8 points per set, 389 efficiency on the year, decent reception, good serving, 12 aces, 21 errors. That ace to error ratio is one of the better ones in the league. And I just kind of like him on the eye test. He had man. There was a clip that was posted the other day of he recycled a ball and then got back with like maybe 2 steps of transition on a ball that was coming from over his shoulder. Absolutely pounded it cross court, like inside the attack line. It was gnarly. So I feel like we kind of perennially underrate Lucarelli. I'll take him as my other outside.
Fair enough.
You still need.
Give me Mark Podraskinen.
Good pick.
Yeah, I think he hasn't been putting up like like some of the best number of his career, but he's still been super solid for Trentino this year.
Yep, good pick. Another one of those middles that's above 2 points per set. 0.64 blocks per set is third in the league.
Yeah.
Fourth in the league, sorry. But that's very good. Okay, so I think I just need a libero and an opposite. Man, liberos are so hard to pick. You know what? I was looking at libero stats, or the very little libero stats that there are, because we figured out that Lorenzano is the best reception libero in the league this year. Up there as well was Julian Zenger of Padova.
Yeah.
He's passed the ball super well, apparently. I haven't watched that many Padova games, but I'll go ahead and take him as my libero.
Okay. For my other level, middle, give me Gianluca Galassi.
All right. Too many service errors for my liking. 9 aces to 40 errors. That's rough. But
does he hit a float serve too?
No, he's a jump spinner. He really, really likes burying them in the
net. Those are bad numbers.
His favorite pastime is burying serves in the net. But 2.3 points per set. A lot of blocks, and he's very heavily involved in Monza's offense. So that's a decent pick. Ozzy in the chat says Koza Marinic. That would have been a good pick as well.
Yeah.
Okay, I just need my opposite.
I just didn't want to go double Trentino middle,
Yeah, fair enough. It's easy to pick a lot of Trentino players because they are the best team in the league.
100%, and they're so solid all the way through.
They are. You know what, Everett? I'm going to do it to you. I'm going to take Arthur Schwartz as my opposite.
But I mean, you should. He is probably like statistically the next guy up. Like his numbers this year have been better than Shaposhkov's on a team that's better than Modena. So yeah, I would rate him as the fourth best opposite in the league so far, and Eric Lepke at 5.
Yeah,
Eric Lepke's numbers on the right side have been really good this year. He's been real solid. I mean, I know it's not fair to guys like Teofel and Buchkeger, but it just is what it is, right?
Yeah, Schwartz on the year, 395 efficiency is super good, 0.49 blocks per set. It's just the serving. The serving's been really bad, but everything else has been excellent.
I'm excited. Like if he can get that serving better, and there has been times when he's been really good with his serve too. Like he had some clutch aces for Canada down the stretch this summer, and if he can just dial up that serving a little bit, I'm stoked about it.
Okay, pick a libero, and then we're done.
Oh shoot. I'm just gonna go with Balasso because I know and love Balasso.
Can't go wrong.
Like we picked no Lube guys, which is crazy.
Oh yeah, Otis was first team opposite.
Was a first team opposite, yeah, for sure.
But I mean,
did we write this down?
Yeah, I wrote it down.
Okay, great.
I've got it. So I've got Paolo Porro, Ron Takahashi, and Lucarelli at outsides. Flavio and Sanguinetti in the middle. Schwartz at opposite, and Zanger at libero. You have Gianelli at setter, Stephen Marr and Rock Mosic at outside, Camille Rikliski at opposite, Marco Petrosyan and Gianluca Galassi in the middle, and Fabio Balasso at libero.
Love it.
Two good squads.
Two good squads, and only one Cuban. Love that.
Okay, that is it for the Superlega. Halfway through the year, Copa Italia coming up next week. It's been good. Good to break some of this stuff down. Before we move on with the rest of the show, Everett, a couple important things. The first is thatvolleyballstore.com. We got a new asset showcasing all the beautiful things that you can buy. Let the people know about it.
Absolutely. Let's head over to thatvolleyballstore.com. Once again, we had to change up the URL because they wanted to charge me like hundreds of dollars to renew it. And this one was $12. So I was like, absolutely. Let's jump on the .com train. But you can head over and check out that new like Where's Daddy's shirt. I'm excited to go to VNL Ottawa this year. And if you guys aren't wearing that Where's Daddy's shirt, there's going to be hell to pay. Hell to pay.
I don't think that Serbia is going to be in Ottawa, which is really a shame because I would love to interview.
No, I think they are.
Really?
I think Serbia's coming back. That was one of the things because like our friends to our Ottawa friends take care of Serbia whenever they're there, and Serbia is always a good time. It's crazy. Like the Serbian team comes in, the Serbian community like does like a night in a hall for them. Like the Serbian community in Ottawa does more than the volleyball community does for Team Canada. Like it's crazy.
So typical.
But no, I'm pretty sure Serbia was there for week number 2.
Okay, well, we'll check on that. But I would love to, if I got to interview a Serbian player while wearing a Daddy Stankovic t-shirt, that would be really funny. But yeah, pick up some Daddy Stankovic gear. Use the code SPICY for 15% off your order. And speaking of Daddy Stankovic, of course, it's time for Where's Daddy? We hide him somewhere in the show every week. When you find him and comment the timestamp of where he is in the video, you get a shout out on next week's show. This was some of my finest work, Everett, from last week. Look at
Oh yeah, that one is really, really good.
that. Is some of my finest work. I hid him inside that little volleyball icon from the University of Texas National Championship infographic. So there's Daddy there, way in the back. A couple people found him. I was actually, I don't know if anyone was going to find this one, but some people did. Martin Johnson found him first, then John Lau, then actually really it was just those two guys. It was just those two guys that commented early enough to get the shout out for Where's Daddy. So there he was. Remember to keep an eye out for him. He's hidden somewhere in the show, and comment the timestamp of where he is in the main YouTube comments after the stream is over.
Yeah. For the record, Rob, Serbia will be in Ottawa.
Fantastic.
Canada, Italy, USA, France, Argentina, Serbia, Netherlands, and Cuba.
Fantastic.
That is going to be a lot of fun. We should see you guys there. Honestly, like you guys need to come to Ottawa. And just come party with us.
Yep. Get yourselves there and get some gear to wear once you get there from thatvolleyballstore.com.
Let's go. All right, Rob, what else do we want to talk about? Where's my show notes things?
Let's
I'm
hit
hiding them.
The Lega Volley Femminile, because since our last show, the Lega Volley Femminile actually had 2 rounds.
True.
One of them was round 13, and so that 13 is the midway point for the Lega Volley Femminile, while it's 11 for the men, 13 for the women. So they had rounds 13 and 14. And the big storyline here, in my opinion, was the race for the Copa Italia. Because after game 13, the Copa Italia field was set, and check out the standings. Roma, 17 points at 7th. Firenze, 16 points at 8th. Vallafolia, 16 points at 9th on tiebreakers. It's Firenze who barely gets in the 8th spot. Here are the results from that week.
What about Roma, though? Like,
dude,
up into the league, like, talk about most surprised newcomers of the year. Roma Volley coming in with a huge run here. You absolutely love to see it, just how good they've been this season.
Pinerolo as well at 6th is incredible. Those two teams getting into the Coppa Italia is fantastic. But as you see here, Vallafolia got 3-donged by Malonza, and Firenze barely beat Cuneo to get a spot in the Coppa Italia. That was the difference. Other than that, results-wise, nothing surprising at all. But here now, the field for the Women's Coppa Italia is official. This starts actually real soon. I think. No, actually, sorry. I think it's a little bit later in January, and then the finals, the semis and finals are in February, later than that. But it's number 1 Conegliano versus number 8 Firenze, number 4 Novara versus number 5 Chieri, number 2 Malonza versus number 7 Roma, and number 3 Scandicci versus number 6 Pinerolo. So that's the field. Yeah, it's crazy having Roma go from the 2nd division to the Coppa Italia. And Pinerolo was like a point away from getting relegated last year, and here they are in 6th. So that's very impressive. I actually like this. I like this field. I mean, Conegliano is going to win the first round, no problem. But Novara versus Chieri is going to be a really good game. And honestly, Scandicci versus Pinerolo is kind of good too. You never know.
Yeah, you're right. Did you see that Mazzanti got hired by Trentino on the women's side?
Trentino women?
Yeah. Davide Mazzanti. That was literally just announced today.
Really? Okay. No wonder I didn't see it.
Yeah.
Well, Trentino is a bottom feeder. They would take kind of a miracle for them to not get relegated at this point. So that was what happened in week 13 to decide the Coppa Italia. But then also we had week 14 just yesterday. They had a Boxing Day extravaganza on the women's side as well. Bunch of games, obviously, not a whole lot of surprises. We did see Novara versus Chieri. It's going to be a Coppa Italia preview. Pinerolo lost to Cuneo, which was a little weird, and Vallafolia beat Roma, but the 3 main players, Conegliano, Malonza, and Scandicci, all won easily.
Yeah. I mean, no one's really touching them. Even though Navarra is up there with wins, I don't really see them competing in the same realm as the big three. And even then, like Canigliano has just been so good, so good. Best coach team in the world. They've been together for so long. It really is a testament. Like once again, you have to put them in the conversation of one of the best run clubs in the world.
In all of volleyball anywhere. Yeah, totally.
Also a big news too that I'm pretty sure Paulo Agonu has re-signed for Malonza for next season as well.
I did see that.
I know you hate talking about signings, but I think we should if someone's re-signing, we can talk about that.
I agree. Yeah, I hate talking about transfers mid-season, but a player sticking around, especially one of her caliber, I think that's worth.
Absolutely, and that also gives a lot of stability for Malonza too, because they know what's going on with their team early, and they can really build around her. They can keep or move the pieces as it's required. Although Malonza is a team that has been pretty consistent. Like Recky's been there since she moved from the NCAA. Oro's been their girl for a while.
Yeah. It's really just been Oro and a couple of the middles because
I guess so too.
Super inconsistent on the wings. Stevanovic is back at Adzadjabasha now.
Oh yeah, you're right.
She's gone back and forth a bit, but yeah, I like this Malonza team construction better than most years.
Yeah, it's way better this year.
It's not even just Agonu,
and it's not as crowded.
Yeah, true. Who's been starting on the outside for Corneliano? It's been sort of a 3-person rotation of all 3 Americans: Kelsey Robinson, Catherine Plummer, Khalil Lanier, all kind of in and out.
I wonder if Santarelli and Karch are talking about that. Like, I wonder if there's communications going on there. Probably not, just because of like the international stuff. But like, it's very interesting when you think about it, of the dynamic that for Karch, 3 of his top outsides are all coached by arguably his biggest rival and nemesis in the national team season.
That is pretty interesting. That is pretty interesting. Okay. Anything else on the women's side for the Lega Volley Femminile?
No, I think that is about it.
A lot of the other leagues are taking sort of like a week or week and a half break between Christmas and New Year's, so that's why there's less volleyball being played, at least right about now. But we do need to catch up on men's Champions League.
We do.
Last week was week 4. There are only 2 regular season weeks left. The pool pictures are becoming a little bit clearer. And while there weren't a ton of amazing matches on paper last week, there were a couple notable results. So if you remember last week's show on Tuesday, we were just like that first match on the bottom of the screen there, Zaxa versus Halkbank, was just starting during last week's show, and it was a donging in Poland by Halkbank.
It was a tough one to watch.
It was tough to watch.
It really is, and I don't really know what is happening, because you still have, like, you have Janusz back, you have Bednor's back. Like, sure, you don't have all of your guys. Like Szymanski, I guess, is a big hole. You don't really have David Smith in this one, but like, it shouldn't have been as easy as it was. Like, this one really wasn't competitive at all, right? And like, you're starting to get some of your guys back. So my question, Rob, is it time to start worrying about Zaxa, or is just this a bad game against what was a pretty efficient Halkbank team in this one?
Yeah, Halkbank looked great. Matt Anderson really good, predictably.
22.
Wouter Termat pretty good. Still not
25.
Still don't really agree with continuing to start Camejo on the outside, but it didn't matter. I mean, he passed like trash and didn't do all that much on offense.
But, yeah, especially when you have Benny Twinstra and Vincentine.
Like, I was so excited for Vicentine to go there, but he's been clearly the 4th guy all season. I just don't get that. I think he's so good. But on the Zaxa side, Kaczmarek was terrible in this game.
Yeah.
2 for 17 with 6 errors. There's somebody in the Discord who is complaining that we don't like that Kaczmarek, for some reason, his good performances get praised and his bad performances get ignored. This was a bad performance, and I'm not ignoring it. He looked bad.
I don't know why they didn't bring in Kluth. right? Like Kluf
Yeah,
is
I
a
love Kluf.
solid option off the bench. And even when you look at his numbers, they weren't terrible. 4 for 8. He did get blocked twice, but still was better than Kaczmarek's numbers, right? He had more points than Kaczmarek coming off the bench than Kaczmarek did starting all three
All
sets.
three
Like,
sets.
what is Samuel Vuo doing keeping Kaczmarek and not having like Kluf?
Yeah,
Like,
that's a tough one.
do you want you weren't even doing a double sub? What is going on, Tommy?
They double subbed in the first set, but otherwise, yeah, there's no excuse for keeping Kaczmarek in that long. I am worried about Zaksa. It's not because I don't think that they can still win championships when they have all their guys. It's because I don't know if they're going to be able to keep themselves afloat
until they get
all their guys back. So, however, they got a huge favor in this pool in Champions League because Olympiacos 3-donged NAC Rusolare. That was a big help for Zaksa to give them still a good chance of finishing second in this pool. If Rusolare had won that game, Zaksa would be ranked third, and they would not be in a good spot to advance. But because Olympiacos won that other game last week, that actually helped Zaksa's case a lot. But Zaksa now they must beat Olympiacos in 2 weeks, and then they might have to beat Rusolare in week 6 to make it out of this pool. And without all their guys, like, those are not guaranteed wins in either of those games.
No, definitely not. I mean, Sluvka's going to be out for a while. I'm interested to see if they pick up another left side, like if they make a transfer within the Plus Liga or something, because like Szymanski and Zaplicki, the other guy who this Zaplicki character who's been playing for them, plays for their third division team. No, but so he's like he works a 9 to 5. And when he plays, he was like works a 9 to 5, plays for the third division team, and then was like playing for the third division team and then driving to go play for Zox as well, because that's how bad they needed him.
Wow.
Yeah. So this dude's like a regular Joe working a 9 to 5 playing in the Plus Liga. That's absolutely insanity.
Sweet story.
Yeah, great story. Not a good outcome for Zaksa. That's this isn't like who's that guy, the Toronto Zamboni driver who ended up like jumping in
the e-bug or something.
Yeah, well he jumped in for Carolina game and won the game as the backup, as the emergency goalie. Yeah, it's kind of like that.
Tough game for Zaksa. Yeah, if you have to be playing Krzysztof Zapłacki, and I mean, Szymanski wasn't even that bad this game. He wasn't good, but he wasn't that bad. They're going to struggle. And also, like, Daniel Kitzigoy is playing, but he's still dealing with like a broken finger on his left hand. So all he can do is serve. Yeah, he can't do anything with his left hand, which is a bummer because he was so good early in the year. But
that one game that we saw from him,
the Super Cup final.
Yeah,
that was sick. Zierotbank was very good. They were in control the entire game. It wasn't that competitive. Berkay with a good point. Faik Samet Gunesh in the middle was very good that game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And Bedirhan Bulbul is super good as well. That dude is crazy dynamic.
He is. I feel like Turkey's generally solid in the middle.
Maybe not great, but solid. I agree.
Solid. Yeah. I knew the word I was picking.
Yep. I agree with you.
Well, speaking of the Turkey teams, though, one team that was on the other side that we have to talk about was Halkbank, who did not look good going into Berlin and getting 3 donked. Now, I will admit, I do think that Max Schmeling Hall might be one of the harder atmospheres to play in. Like it is a tough place. It's all black, but this was not what I was expecting from Ankara. I mean, it just seemed like they were just a little discombobulated. I will say this was one of the lesser games I've seen from Micah Ma'a in a long time.
Now, yes, I agree. Namir Abdelaziz lost them this game.
Yeah, absolutely.
Namir Abdelaziz lost Halkbank this game. 10 for 30, 8 errors. Not even close to good enough. Irvin Ingapeth was unbelievable, by the way. 14 for 23.
Yeah,
he wasn't the problem. Gord was good. 9 for 17.
Yeah.
Namir Abdelaziz lost them this game. Demanded the ball in all the key moments and either failed to terminate or made errors when because all three of these sets were close. I mean, 22, 23, 22.
Yeah.
Like Halkbank was in this match in all three sets, and this to me is Namir and really nobody else to look at on the Halkbank side. But other than the home venue itself, Berlin as a team deserves credit here as well. That is a good team that is always greater than the sum of its parts. And even without like the best game we've ever seen from Marek Sotola, only 14 points. Like he's usually a guy to drop,
but across the
even in a
board.
sweep.
Yeah,
Yeah,
they're getting solid scoring from across the board. Carl jumped in with 9 points. Tamima with 9. Ruben Schott with 9. But then also just a lot more errors on the Halkbank side of things, like 4 to 15 ace to errors, 5 for 11 for Berlin, 16 attacking errors overall. Like just way more errors on the Ankara side, on the Halkbank side.
not good.
No.
Good.
When do we start having this conversation about like what's happening with Namir? And I know it's been happening quite a bit in the Discord, and I haven't wanted to like really engage with it. But now I think it like not a great VNL, not a great European Championships, not a great Olympic qualifier, hasn't been super clutch this season. Like there's been a lot of question marks on him recently, and he hasn't really been producing like we expect him to, and like his reputation precedes.
Too much volleyball, and he's too stubborn to take time off, is my opinion on it. Now, I don't know this for sure. I'm not in their locker room, but we do know how dominant of a personality Namir is, and how demanding he is of being the guy. Mm-hmm. Namir's personality is not one to accept not being the guy. No, he must play every game, and he must take all the swings in the big moments. Like that's just what his personality needs, and it's catching up to him right now. I agree with you, Everett. They probably at Namir's own insistence, that was badly mismanaged this summer with the Dutch national team. He played far too much. Far too much.
And especially I just beat the dead horse with this. It would make sense if you're a team, you have one opposite and you have one guy. You have a world-class scorer in Wout Watertermaat right there, who's been way better than him in the Everett League. Much better than him in the Everett League this year. Much better than him in the Champions League this year. So I really don't know what's sometimes like that we need to remember why we used to call Piazza a stooge. And just because he's our homie and he does interviews with us doesn't mean that his decisions aren't, a little weird sometimes.
I don't think that Piazza's calling that shot. I think that it's Namir. And
fair enough.
I think that it's Namir's own. I think it's Namir's own stubbornness of just like who he is that's kind of coming back to bite him right about now. But I mean, we saw this coming, that this pool, the Halkbank, Piacenza, Berlin, Benfica pool, was going to be the spiciest, and it is. 9 points, 8 points, 7 points for the top 3 teams. Like that.
Hell, even Benfica and other pools would have a chance.
They would. They would.
If they were in like pools D or E, like it would be a much different story for them.
Totally.
Yeah.
One other match I wanted to kind of look at from this past week was Lundberg.
Yeah, that's
not a good one.
Say. No, which is crazy because they just had a banger against Berlin. Like they lost.
They choked that one too. They were up 2-0 and got reverse swept. Like I was going to bring that up towards the end of the show, that Lundberg just cannot get the Berlin monkey off their back, and they had a golden opportunity to do it and kind of blew it. This one's same thing. I mean, they went to the Canary Islands and beat Guaguas like a month ago.
Yes.
And then they hosted them this time and get 3-donged, and it was never really that competitive. Like this, Lundberg set themselves up so beautifully. They beat Guaguas and they beat Budiovice, and then they took a set from JSW. Like the second place in this pool was theirs for the taking.
If they won this game, they would have basically like clinched it.
Right.
That it basically would have been, and it was tough to see. I mean, Graham Vigrass was pretty good in this one though, 7 for 10.
Shout out to Graham
with a block. He was upset that there was the return of a certain Canadian volleyball player this past week, Rob, that we'll talk about in a second.
Yes.
But I got a DM from Graham Vigrass. He was like, "Where was my comeback post?"
Graham's such a beauty. I love him so much.
He's such a beauty. I was he the out of system like made their like tour like post like their coming season. He's like, do one in Toronto for volleyball source, like run a grass tournament. And I was like, only if you're there. And he's like, all right, let's do it in Calgary. So I'm gonna message him, see if maybe we can organize a bit of a grass tournament in Calgary.
If Graham plays it, I'll
Calgary,
be there.
Oh, absolutely. I feel like Calgary has a really good community for that, and I think we could make it happen. It could be a lot of fun. You want to go to Calgary? Maybe we should do it during the Stampede. Ever been to the Stampede there, Rob St. Clair?
We're still talking about Champions League, buddy, not summer in Calgary.
Okay.
Speaking of Canadians, there are lots of them on Lundberg. Xander Kaczynski came off the bench at opposite because Jan Buma was not very good. Xander was okay, went 9 for 19.
9 for 19, yeah.
2 sets. Eric Ruhr's okay. Jesse Elser, not good. 3 for 13, 3 errors, and kind of got targeted in serve reception. This was definitely a bummer for
serve receive numbers. Not too bad though. Not passing excellently, but like 64% positive is still
that's good.
Is still real strong. He's also, I don't know, see, like if you guys are part of the Discord, Beandog has been putting together some fantastic number breakdowns from different leagues. Jesse Elser has actually been one of the more effective servers in the Bundesliga, and Matthias Elser has been one of the more effective servers in the French league. So he goes serve the ball. It's great.
But this is not the Bundesliga. This is the Champions League, and this is a team that Lundberg already beat, and they get swept at home, and that is definitely a bummer. So that pool is a very interesting one now for who's going to get second behind JSW. I'm not even going to talk about Pool E. It's not worth it. Trentino and Resovia both won their games easily. No surprise there. And then we already talked about Olympiacos beating Rusalaria. That was kind of significant. But that's kind of it. So we have this week and next week off, and then the week of January 10th is week 5 of Men's Champions League.
Love it. We got a bit of Copa Italia, and then we'll jump back into Champions League.
Yeah. Very nice. Yeah. Nice time in the volleyball calendar. I think that's kind of it for the things that I had in the international game. But you alluded to a comeback of a certain Canadian volleyball player, and I think we got to talk about it.
It kind of came out of nowhere. It's not something that I was expecting. I had actually been on the record multiple times saying that this individual would never return to volleyball, because why would he when you have a recording deal with Red Bull Records? But coming back to volleyball and to the Finnish league is none other than Kofi kid Danon Gima, which is honestly incredible. I absolutely love to see it. I love to see him back in the game. I'm just happy he's around. Now, of course, we have all of the people in the Discord and whatnot being like, oh, he wants to go to the Olympics and stuff like that.
No chance.
I don't think there's any chance on that, right? Like, he is without a doubt like fantastic.
Freak
athlete, but he was a fringe guy who played one Nations League weekend before he quit volleyball, and you're going to tell me he's going to come back and make a run at the national team? I'm not ruling it out of the cards, depending on what we see from him for 2028. Like, given his level of athleticism, anything could happen, but I would fully acknowledge that it's a long shot for him. But ultimately, I'm just happy that he's back in the game, and that he's still enjoys volleyball enough that he wanted to come back and play professionally.
Yeah, it's good for the game, for sure. Danon Gima, for people who didn't know, played at UCLA, like when Micah Ma'a was there. And this was before UCLA got like national championship level good. Like I think it was after Danon was gone when they lost in the final to Long Beach one of the years.
No, that it was him in the final, and he led them.
That was him.
Points.
Okay,
like he was the system, as James Harden would say. So yeah.
So Kofi was sick. I mean, he was an unreal athlete, but play style wise at the international level, I don't see it.
His blocking needs to be miles better than what it was. And I mean, like, I used to coach against him when he was like 16 years old. And it's pretty incredible to see like what he became. And had he continued playing volleyball, I have no doubt that he would have been able to like make some adjustments and make some improvements. But it's going to be hard for him to come back, no doubt about it. But just happy to see him. He'll be playing for Hurricane Loima in the Finnish league.
Cool.
So,
It
Yeah.
is. It is good to see him back to volleyball. Hopefully Micah Ma'a can get him on the Out of System podcast to do a little bit of storytelling, or hopefully a Canadian friend of ours named Everett can do the same.
There's been talks. I was going to try to see if we could make something happen before he leaves, but just he leaves like right after the new year, and there's just too much going on. But you know what? There's this great internet thing, so I'd love to chat with Kofi and just talk about it. Once again, I'm just happy that he's back in the game, and I hope he has some fun with it.
Me too.
All right.
So I think that's a show. I think that's a show. Happy New Year, people. One other thing that we talked about this in the Discord, but like we did earlier, we did like the Superlega All-Star team for the midway point of the year. I want to task the different channels and different like pockets of European friends and fans in the Discord.
Mm-hmm.
I want everybody to come up with their own, or like the communities to come up with their own lists for the midway points of your respective seasons.
Yeah,
Turkey for sure, men's and women's.
100%.
The Poland channel, give us your opinion, because the Plus Liga does this. They release it as part of their media, but I want our Polish people's thoughts. People who watch the Lega Volley Femminile in a lot more detail. We'd love to hear from you as well. Let's try
literally
to
anywhere.
anyone.
100%. Germany,
France.
well. We need you guys doing some stuff, and maybe Bean Dog. Maybe we can ask Bean Dog to help, because he's got a great database for some stats going on across multiple different leagues.
Yeah. So something I'd like to do on next week's show is get sort of the Volleyball Source community mid-season teams in the different leagues. Ooh. So if you want to help be a part of that, make sure you join the Volleyball Source Discord. The link is in the description, and we'll do some organizing in the Discord and like the different channels for the different countries. We want you guys to get involved, and if we could get enough like consistent formatting of the mid-season awards to different countries, we can go through all of them on next week's show. I think that would be very cool.
Yeah. All right, guys. Thank you very much for tuning in. Thank you very much for a fantastic 2023.
Great year.
This is a great year. A lot of things were done this year.
Our Norseca games, I mean, the Norseca final and then the USA Cuba game just got to above 400,000 and 300,000 views, respectively. Those things are continuing to go.
Love that. So
plus all the Ottawa content. Everett, it was this year we were in Austin, Texas together. Remember that back in January?
Yeah, we went all the way back, but it's crazy. Like at that time we had about 7 or 8,000 YouTube subscribers, and now we have over 30,000.
31.
30, yeah. So it's if you've just joined us this year, thank you. We hope you join us again in 2024. Of course, only bigger and better things to come, but we appreciate you for being here, and we appreciate you for being you.
Thanks for being fans of the channel, people. I'm Rob. That's Everett. Happy New Year. We will see you in 2024.
Peace.